Season 2 premiere of the White Knuckle Racing League and the Xfinity Series, where we have super speedway action at the historic Daytona International Speedway. New season, new drivers, and new opportunities to prove yourself at the pinnacle of stock car racing. Who is going to take the checker flag and solidify themselves as a mainstay of not just the series, but in this league altogether? Only time will tell when the first hot rod crosses the finish line first on the final lap. I'm Tim Wells, aka Turtle Wells 73, and I'll be your voice of tonight's action here in Daytona, USA. It's a beautiful sunny day here in virtual Daytona Beach, Florida, and of course I'm happy to report there is a 0% chance of showers in the area throughout the day. Should be action-packed from start to finish as I bring in my broadcasting partner, Coach Matt Montgomery. And Matt, this is obviously going to be a tough race to win, but what's it going to come down to when that white flag flies?
Well, you reached out to me earlier, and you kind of asked me to have some keys to victory. And looking back at the truck race yesterday, which I thought went really well, the three keys I came up with were patience, communication, and execution. In terms of patience, it's a long race. You don't want to put yourself in a bad spot by being too aggressive early, getting people upset with you that might refuse to work with you later on, or making a mistake, losing the draft, and potentially going a lap down in certain situations. Communication is important. I think this is the track where teammates are key and super important. So the whole team's got to be on the same page. They got to know, hey, what lap are we pitting on? What are we going to do on pit road? And you got to make sure you guys get linked up once you exit pit road. And then execution. I mean, you can have the perfect plan, but if you make mistakes, that all goes out the window. Especially Daytona, where split seconds are crucial. So make sure if you're wanting to save fuel, if you plan on making certain adjustments, got to keep your car out of trouble. Avoid black flags. Do not pull a ridge and wreck on the pit road, and make sure that after getting off pit road that you get linked up with your teammates. The faster you do that, the better.
And you can't have Matt Montgomery on without having a slight jab at the Ridge Rat. Of course, I know you mentioned teamwork. Obviously, is going to be a vital factor for tonight's race. You mentioned a lot linking up after pit exit, but as far as pit entry, obviously you want to avoid the black flags. But if all teammates pit at the same time, you also run the risk of potentially getting into each other. And the last thing you want to do is bump your own teammate going over the 55 mile per hour mark and get that black flag. What are some things guys can avoid while getting on pit road?
Well, I know at least with my guys, especially what I did with the truck guys yesterday. I worked with the Xfinity guys today, working on. All right, we're in a draft. We've got 4 or 5 of us together. We're all going to pit at the same time. Where are our breaking points at? And a lot of times I have them fan out almost, and I encourage them not to try and push the limit. Yeah, you might be able to gain an extra quarter to half a second if you get on the pit road a little bit faster than everybody else, but you also run the risk of getting a 15-second penalty and completely removing yourself from contention. So that's one of the things that you have to work on, because all it takes is one mistake on pit road and then you're in trouble. I know last night we had the GMS trucks battling the KBM trucks at Daytona. Like there was 4 trucks that had kind of broken away from the rest of the field, and they were the ones racing for the win. And when it came down to having to pit with I think like 3 or 4 to go, one of the KBM trucks got a black flag, immediately put themselves at a disadvantage, and allowed the GMS trucks to take over and for Speed to eventually get the win. So I mean, black flags, man, they will no matter what track. I mean, but especially here, they will ruin a race for you.
Right. I mean, it's especially at Daytona, such a large track. One hiccup, 15 seconds for the black flag. You get stuck out there by yourself. Your race is almost guaranteed over, especially if it comes down in stage number 3. But another question I wanted to ask you, Matt. What's it like being a team owner and here in a few minutes to be able to watch your guys compete from the booth?
I mean, it'll be interesting for sure. I'm gonna have to pull a junior, and being the owner of Junior Motorsports is kind of funny, and try to be non-biased in the booth, and then try to keep it as fair fair as I can. But it'll definitely be exciting. I mean, obviously want to pull for him, but I'm also up here to watch some really good racing and do my best to assist you up here in the booth, man.
Yeah, and Matt, another thing you kind of mentioned talking about your team there. What was your thought process going into the Xfinity draft, and what does each driver that you have on your team bring to the table?
Well, the Xfinity draft. I mean, don't want none. Who was a Cup guy last year and he showed a lot of speed in preseason. I'm surprised he fell down to me at 3. Rich Gang has always been real consistent and showing some really good speed. Citrus is a new guy. I thought he had some Cup speed. So getting him in the second round I thought was huge. And then Dover, I just call him Trey. He he was kind of under the radar, but I've raced with him for a while. He's a bit on the younger side, but he's definitely got some potential and some talent. I know he's excited to show everybody, how fast he can be.
All right, and we've talked a lot about teammates already, just in the 5 minutes we've been on the air. But we saw the strategy work very well in the truck race. Will teammates be as vital as it was in the truck race? And if so, when push comes to shove, that white flag flies. Are you gonna push each other to the win, or do you think there's going to be some racing for that checkered?
Well, I think it just comes down to personal preference there. I mean, I know if I'm in a situation where I'm pushing one of my guys and it's late, uh, I'm more focused on the team at that point. But that's just coming from an owner perspective. There might be a driver who has never won a league race before, and that's their opportunity, and they're gonna, do whatever it takes to get across that line. But I mean, do you want to leave your team out to dry? Do you want to move them and cause some kind of confrontation to occur later on, or maybe upset a teammate? It's really a tough decision, and it's not something that you're really able to figure out until you're in the moment, and then it's kind of like split second. What am I going to do? Who am I going to go with? What move am I going to make? Um, but when it comes down to it, I mean, for me, I view plate tracks as almost team victories, and making sure that at least one of your guys crosses the finish line first. Um, but I mean, for other people, I mean, it could be wreckers or checkers, and they're willing to risk a decent finish for a win. So it really just comes down to the driver.
Right, and you bring up a lot of good points. Me personally, I think with this being Xfinity, you own this team, but you're not racing with them. Therefore, if it does come down to like four Hendrick Motorsports guys, I can definitely see a couple of them maybe getting a little friendly there at the end, trying to get that victory. Obviously you don't want to see any wrecks on that last corner, but obviously this is the first race of the year, a lot to prove, especially for some of these new guys coming into season number 2, which kind of leads me to my last question for the pre-race. With the stacked field this season, Matt, with everything from top to bottom, within the Xfinity series being borderline equal, do you expect to see temper flare more as there's even less room for error in season 1 because of the competition being so stiff?
I mean, yeah, we're looking at an increase in talent in the series, and we're also looking at an increase in drivers. And I know there's a lot of different things have changed from last year to this year. One of those being the Xfinity drivers are going to be on team comms this year. They're not going to be on series comms, to where like everybody's in there together. They're going to communicate to where it's like, hey, I'm going to pit here, or hey, I'm coming up underneath you, or whatever. So you're going to have to be really aware of your surroundings, what other drivers are doing. And tippers may flare. You may be upset with a driver, but one of the things I try to teach my guys is just kind of patience, and keeping a level head. Because I mean, just because somebody gets into you, it doesn't necessarily mean it was intentional. And so it's real important to not let that affect you later on. I feel as a race car driver, you have to have a short-term memory. You can't get too high, can't get too low, but at the same time, you can't stay upset with someone for too long, because you never know when you might need to get around them, and you might need them to give you a bit of leeway.
Right, and Matt, we're going to be starting the race here in a few, but let's go ahead and go with tonight's keys to victory. So tonight's keys to victory are sponsored by Hugger Oranges. So Matt, go ahead with our keys to victory.
I went over the keys earlier, my bad. We'll cover them again. So yeah, patience, communications, execution, and like I said, I think those things are going to be vital. I think they were vital last night. I think they're going to be vital tonight. And I think they're going to be vital tomorrow night in the Cup race. Patience. You can't get, especially lap one. You're not going to win the race lap one. The first stage and second stage really, in my mind, is you're kind of sitting back, you're feeling out, how different drivers are responding to different things. Who you can work with, who you can work around, who you might want to avoid. And then when it comes down to the last stage, you still have to be patient. Even if it is stage 3, you want to keep your car out of trouble, but you want to make sure that you're set up for the moves that you have planned later on in the race. And when it comes to, like I said, communication, everybody has to be on the same page that we're making these adjustments. When we get on pit road, this is what we're doing, because if somebody takes 2 while everybody else takes none, that driver automatically is going to be like 8-9 seconds behind everybody else, and they're completely out of the picture. And the more teammates you have at Daytona, the better. And then, like I said, execution. You've got to make sure that even though you have this stuff planned, you can't get flustered, or you can't kind of have like a lapse of thought and forget to do certain things, or maybe while you're making adjustments and you forget to hit the button to pit. I mean, that's happened to me a couple times, and it really makes it difficult to recover from that. because you might not get a caution to save you from that. You might wind up having to pit one extra time than everybody else, and once again, your race is done. So avoid penalties, avoid black flags, keep the car out of trouble, work with your teammates, and you're going to need a little bit of a little bit of luck sprinkled in there also. But I mean, like I said, this race is going to be exciting. I can't wait to get started.
All right, there you have it with tonight's Hugger Orange's keys to victory. Thank you, Matthew Montgomery. As they're wrapping up qualifying, we have just got word that Jay Harris will be starting on the pole for the NASCAR Cup Series 300 here in the White Knuckle Racing League and season number 2. So kind of wrapping up your keys to victory, it sounds like you have to talk the talk in order to walk the walk your way to victory lane. As we go ahead and get set up to join the broadcast. And Matthew, I'm assuming you have gotten your invite? All right. And as we're preparing to join the lobby and get started for race number 1 here at Daytona, Matt, you got any predictions?
No idea. Like I said, well, I might have some predictions once we're 5 laps to go in the third stage.
Sure.
I might be able to tell you something, but there's no telling what's going to happen here. But that's just part of what makes the sport so exciting.
All right, Matt. It's that time again as the green flag is out once again on a brand new season of White Knuckle Racing, this time in the Xfinity Series. As me personally, I'm still loading up, but here we go. Let's get down to the action. As we are on lap number 1, Jay Harris currently out in front, going through turn number 2. And Matt, obviously right now, the start of the race is going to be a little chaotic. Guys trying to figure out where their teammates are at. There's going to be some 2-3 wide racing. I would imagine these guys are probably going to link up with their teammates.
Yeah, that's the goal. Little get out of shape down there on the bottom line. I think these first few laps, these guys are really going to have to fill each other out and see where they're going to be comfortable on the racetrack. Looks like somebody's off the pace down the apron coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, looks like someone is off the pace. If that is going to happen, you do want it to be in stage 1. You have plenty of time. You'll obviously regroup with the field after the first stage. Jay Harris currently leads Ski Mask there in the position number 2, followed by the number 9 of Citrus on Twitch. As they're going into the corner, coming out of turn number 2 right now, the Coca-Cola 250 at Daytona. Coming down the backstretch now. Still pack racing, starting to file out a little more single file racing. About the 1 through the 12 spots. Jay Harris so far has led every lap in the early going here of the race here at Daytona. And Matt, is this something you expected a single file racing early on?
Definitely. Like I said, I think people they're going to be feeling each other out, seeing. At the same time, I mean, if you try to make a move on the outside, nobody goes with you, especially if you're up in 3rd or 4th position. That's potentially 10 or so spots you're losing because once you pull out, if nobody's there to push you, it's like a parachute, man, and you just start falling backwards.
And Jay Harris, of course, the number 1 pick for TCW and that for Roush Fenway. I believe we have a big crash going on the backstretch. Multiple cars involved. I see the 10. I see the 7 car involved. As a caution is going to be waved. An early accident. We predicted there might be 1 or 2, but that was a big one already. And the Sporty Morty, the number 1 overall draft pick for the RCR team, caught up in that. Like Frostfang may have gotten some damage as well. Some of the RCI guys. Be tough to see what exactly happened, but I imagine guys just got a little squirrely, a little anxious early on there.
Yeah, I know. Especially with these guys racing this fast and this close together. I mean, one person hits the butter, as we like to call it. It's nothing but the chaos that's going to ensue.
You're absolutely right. It just takes one incident, getting on the apron there, to really kind of shift everybody. And we noticed in this game specifically, guys tend to kind of follow the leader on accident, whether they mean to or not. One guy goes to the apron, you might accidentally follow him and create havoc. As we see in the live chat, carnage by Jose Protege, as he puts it. And I just got word the 19 car had a lag spike, which caused the big incident. So it wasn't driver error, just connection issues. As we resume racing Here, now about halfway through stage number 1. Big Pack Racing coming down the backstretch, going into turn number 3. Starting to file back out as we go through the field a little bit. Don't want none. Starting to see Hendrick get back towards the front. And Ski Mask, who runs the podcast for White Knuckle Racing League, having some issues with his connection. Had a big lag spike. As hopefully that is resolved. And Citrus on Twitch in the 8th spot currently. As they come out of the triangle and into turn number 1, still single file racing. I believe we see car get shifted back to the pack. That looks like it was a 20 car. As we take a look at the soaps. And another car off the pace, Matt. Your guy, old Dover 69. I wonder what happened.
I think he got caught up. I think the field in front of him checked up, and he went down the apron, tried to avoid the incident. Wasn't able to check up himself and wound up losing the draft.
All right, Matt, as we get closer to, we're about a few laps away from pit stops. Are you going to start seeing strategy in stage 1, or do you think that will kind of be later down the road?
Well, that's one of the things that I was working on yesterday and today, is just trying to figure out what pit strategy would work best. And I believe the first 2 stages are 14 laps and 12 laps, and they get about 13 and a half laps of fuel per tank. So with that first caution taking place, I don't think they're going to have to worry about pitting in stage 1 or in stage 2, just due to the length of the stages. So really the only time we're going to see pit strategy come into play, I believe, is going to be stage 3. And I think that's going to be crucial to determine who winds up coming away with this one.
Correct. Stage 1 is 14 laps. Stage 2, 14 as well. And Stage 3 will be 31 laps. As Jay Harris continues to show dominance up front, he has not budged from that lead whatsoever, as Nimco Wood trails him in that second spot. As we're starting to see it spread out a little more, we have about a 9-car pack in the first group, a second group of 3, and then everybody else.
Yeah, I'm back here on board with Sporty Morty trying to see if some of these guys can get lined up to get back up there with that first pack. But they seem to be kind of spread out. They got to get together if they're going to have a chance.
Yeah, Sporty Morty. Yeah, it looks like Sporty is trying to link up with his teammate of Dallas Stars, a returning Xfinity driver from last year who had a solid run in the inaugural Season 1 for the Xfinity Series. Back to the front, Nimco Wood, 2187. And P2 behind Jay Harris, who has led majority of this race. Coming out of the triangle now in turn number 1. As we're starting to see the Hendrick guys starting to creep up there, Rich Gang and Don't Want None in positions 3 and 4. And y'all ain't ready in the wall. 18 in the wall, and the 78 involved as well.
We've got a caution as a result.
So y'all ain't ready of Joe Gibbs Racing and the 78 of Muscle Cars 24 representing Stuart Haas with the second caution. I believe we only had 2 cautions the entire truck race, and it's a much shorter race, but already we've seen two crashes so far. Obviously the first one you can kind of understand with the lag spike. That's just part of the game. That's part of video games as a whole. You're going to experience that. So, but already 2 cautions, not a great start as far as trying to keep up with your strategy. But I mean, at this point, Matt, wouldn't you agree? I mean, at this point, you're just fighting for stage points these last couple laps.
Yeah, especially with the cautions coming out. I mean, strategy really isn't going to come into play. You're just trying to get up there and try to get in the top 5 and get stage points to get a jump on. As I said, these early races are going to be huge when it comes to playoff implications, because I mean, winning you're in, but at the same time, I mean, we're not guaranteed to have a different winner each week. Which, I mean, with the talent we have, it's definitely a possibility. But stage points, I think, are going to be huge to almost give yourself a cushion in the points.
And Matt, this is a green-white checker to determine stage number 1, and just got word again that the second caution was again a lag spike, this time from looks like Muscle Cars 24 and that 78. So 2 cautions, both due to lag, and I believe I hear some crashing in the back. Just some beating and banging. But coming down the back stretch, 1 lap, 1/3 to go to determine the winner of stage number 1. And we got drivers all the way down the apron. Got to be careful sliding back up the track, and Hendrick running 2, 3, and 4. See if they'll work together to try to get around the 36 and get that extra stage point. because those playoff points are crucial, as you know very well, getting into the playoffs last year for Season 1 in the Cup Series. Coming out of the tri-oval, last lap of stage number 1, Jay Harris continues to lead over the 7 of Rich Gang, the 9 of Citrus on Twitch, and the 1 of Don't Want None. Here they come working. Here comes Hendrick Motorsports, trying to find their way. Jay Harris blocking, using up all the track. The 7 trying to get around Jay Harris. Can he coming into turn 3? Yeah, he does not have a nose, but here comes the 9, 3 wide coming into turn number 3. It's 1 by 2 by 2. And Jay Harris, if he can hold it down cleanly coming out of 4, he'll have this stage win. But here they come. Going into the tri-oval now, Jay Harris looks to take stage number 1 here, the Coca-Cola 250. Big crash going into the tri-oval. But that's the end of stage number 1. Big crash. Sporty Morty again involved, having a lot of bad luck in that first stage. And wow, multiple cars involved, 18. If y'all ain't ready.
JW COVID, they got airborne.
The 99 involved, yes. And it seemed that yellow line didn't matter too much. They got to be a little careful running that low, especially in stage number 1. I mean, man, a great stage 1 towards the end. I mean, that's exactly what you want in white knuckle racing. Got very squirrely there at the end, but what did you see in stage number 1?
Well, unfortunately, we didn't get to see a whole lot. I'm hoping that stage 2 and stage 3 we'll get these guys long and clean flag runs and.
Perhaps some two-tire strategy as Jay Harris shuffles back to the 7th position after taking stage number 1. We have the 98 taking the lead. That's the defending Xfinity Series champion. Caps takes the lead at the start of stage number 2. And here they come, slowly shifting gears, gathering speed. And the top 5 of stage number 1 was Jay Harris, Citrus on Twitch, Don't Want None, Frostfang, and Masopes. So a few different teams represented. You had some Roush. You had some Junior Motorsports, and of course some Joe Gibbs Racing. And Frostfang representing Roush as well. So 2 Roush guys in the top 5, 2 JR Motorsports. As Caps continues to lead after this first lap of stage number 2.
I think the 6 and 19 are both in the wall and now off the pace.
And that's the 19 Ski Mask falling back in the pack. And Dallas Stars driving that sexy Whataburger car.
Oh yeah, always down for some Whataburger, especially if you're from Texas, man. That's the place.
I've never
Caps loses the lead and is now currently being shuffled back there on the outside lane.
Yeah, that's tough. If you lose that inside line and it's single file, you expect to go from first all the way to the back of that respective field. Sporty Morty making his way up through the pack. And the 99 of COVID currently in P number 1, followed by Frostfang, who's able to get a top 5 in that stage, has worked his way up to number 2. And the 54 Masopes, finishing 5th in that first stage, has worked his way up to 3rd. Go a little further back in the pack. King Shadow at the tail end of that first group. Halfway, middle of turn number 1 and 2, Sporty Morty trying to give a bump to the 7 of Rich Gang. Trying to get a run on the leading group. And Jay Harris started back in the 7th spot of stage number 2. Has worked his way back up into the top 5. He showed a lot of strength at that first stage. I mean, when you're on the pull, all you really have to do, Matt, is just protect the bottom. That's what he did.
Yeah, you got to hug the bottom and hope nobody gangs up on you on the outside. Because a lot of people are maybe like real tentative to move to the outside, try to make a move. But you get the right people to go with you, you can make that outside work, and you can overtake the guy in the first place.
Yeah, a few things. When you have an uneven amount of cars to make it work on the outside, one, you have to make it stick. You have to utilize that side draft, and you kind of have to get a little lucky. That bottom lane gets a little loose on the inside to really create the momentum off the corner. Single file now, starting to file in. Ski Mask, a few cars off the pace. And
we're about a 13-car breakaway, and I'm counting one. Oh, those are way off the pace. That's already the 19 and the 6, I believe.
And of course, 2 cars going against 12 in a draft. It's the speed is going to be extremely different, 1 to 2 seconds off the pace per lap.
Yeah, it looks
So
like the 5, the 19, the 20, and the 6 are all off the pace. They're going to have to link up to have any chance of
and
not falling too far
yeah,
behind these guys.
and Citrus on Twitch moves the 54 up the track and into the wall, and the Soaps is going to he lost a few positions, falls back to 6th. Oh, the 98 gets loose on the apron and goes around. Will that bring out a caution? So far, no caution. JMW COVID-20 still in the lead. So the best thing the 98 can do is just stay on the lead lap at this point.
Yeah, we're hoping nobody else goes a lap down. If he does, I think he'll wind up getting his lap back to start stage 3. Yeah, definitely a mistake you want to make in stage 2 and not stage 3. Oh, he's bringing it down pit road. Must have some damage.
That's going to hurt him, especially when you can most likely make it on fuel in this second stage. Might not see anyone pit. But so far, the 99's been the strongest car, leading the way. Here in stage number 2, JMW COVID in position number 1. Followed by the 90 of Frostfang. The 9 of Citrus on Twitch, who gets underneath Frostfang, moves him up the track, trying to get that second position. And it looks like he will be able to take position number 2 away from Frostfang, and he's going to bring along some friends along the way. Jay Harris comes right behind Citrus on Twitch.
And the 98 is coming off pit road. Looks like he will lose that lap. It looks like we've also lost the 78 on muscle cars. Not sure what happened there, but he is on pit road and not moving.
And according to our live chat, it appears Muscle Cars 24 lost connection. So that's
unfortunate.
Definitely tough. The first. Absolutely, definitely tough to lose connection on the first race of the year. And Car's getting squirrely. 7 gets into the wall. Going into turn number 3, he's going to lose a few positions as cars are starting to shuffle. And now we're starting to see 2 groups now. The first group of 5 and a second group of 5. But can the second group reel in the leaders? And I think they'll be just fine. Racing in the stage number 2 has been a lot cleaner. Haven't seen any lag spikes. A couple guys in the wall, but nothing too crazy. 98, of course, getting onto the apron. But if no one else goes a lap down, he should get that lap back, which will obviously be crucial going into stage number 3. And if you fall a lap down in stage 3, or you lose a significant amount of time, your race is pretty much over unless a caution comes out.
Yep, so for these drivers that are off the pace now or in Cap's position where he's a lap down, now's not the time to panic. Just make sure you don't make any more mistakes and just survive it into the stage and stage 3 where everything's going to be decided.
And 4 laps to go in stage number 2. JMW COVID-20 still leading the way. Stage points on the line. COVID in first, followed by Citrus on Twitch in position number 2. Jay Harris in third. And the 1 car, Don't Want None, in 4th. And Masopes driving that Twix car, JGR machine, in the 5th position. And Jay Harris trying to get a run coming out of turn number 4. 3 laps to go this time by. And it's been single file most of the stage, but man, I expect, as we saw in the previous stage, everyone started to really beginning to race those last couple laps, because as we mentioned before, those stage points do matter. I know it's race number 1, but they add up throughout the course of a year.
100%. And these guys might be complacent with sitting in single file and making sure they don't make mistakes, lose the draft. But when it comes down to 1 or 2 to go, that's where you're going to see moves being made. And so they're going to be willing to just sit there and ride in place.
And COVID looks to have an issue. He is off the pace, and Citrus takes the lead. COVID below the yellow line and into the grass. We'll see if we get an update what happened to him. But he lost a ton of speed. I didn't really see what happened there.
Yep, I was scrolling through the field, so I did not see what happened either. But it looks like we do have the 9 of Citrus on Twitch, and Jay Harris has worked his way back up to 2nd.
Citrus on Twitch leading the way. 2 laps remaining, followed by Jay Harris, the 1 of Don't Want None, in 3rd. Masopes in the 54, and Y'all Ain't Ready, who has bounced back from that early caution and in the top 5 for the first time this evening. Lap and a half remaining as they approach the backstretch, going into the turn number 3, all lined up. 7-8 car, Sporty Morty in the back of that first pack, trying to figure something out to get some extra stage points there. But Citrus on Twitch right now is in the best position. But you also, you have 4 different teams in the first 4 spots. You don't know who's going to work with who, if any at all. And the 18 gets bounced out of the way throughout the triangle. 1 to go this time by. Citrus on Twitch going into turn number 1 and leading the way. Still single file going through the middle of the turn. Sporty Morty trying to make a move but has no help. He will fall back to where he was. The 1 car trying to build up a run, but the 54 gets into him a little bit. Here comes the 1 in the 54 trying to make a move. Coming on the backstretch.
See if the 36 decides to step out and try to take the first position, or if he's just going to hang tight, because I believe he knows that if he steps out, that 1 car is just going to fill the hole and stick behind the 9.
You're absolutely correct. And right now, I don't see anyone leaning back a little bit to make a run. As it looks right now, Citrus on Twitch coming out of turn number 4. And without much competition trying to take his place, Citrus on Twitch will take stage number 2.
Oh, and 3 wide for 4th. Be interested to see who got that one.
You're right there. So, Citrus on Twitch takes position number 1. And we'll get the official scoring here in a second. But we believe the 99 of JMW COVID had ran out of fuel with only 3 laps remaining in stage number 2. So he really pushed it there. And that's probably that's one of the worst places to lose fuel is on the backstretch, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. If you run out coming to the front stretch, hey, it's great. You got pit road right there. But if you run out, it's a long, slow ride back to pit lane if you run up the backstretch. But being the leader, you're using more fuel than anybody else behind you because people are able to kind of lay off and go maybe 3/4 or half throttle and save fuel. But if you're that lead car, you have to be on the throttle the whole way through, and so you do use more fuel than the rest of the pack.
Right on, and stage number 3 set to start. The top 5 of stage number 2 was Citrus, J. Harris, Don't Want None, Masopes, and Frostfank. So similar top 5 as stage number 1. As they come out of Tri-Oval to begin this stage number 3, and Matt, we talked about a lot of it in pre-race. You don't really need to pit stage 1 and 2, but this is where we're going to start. And we already see troubles. The 7 car all the way down the inside. Not sure if he hit the inside wall, but there is multiple cars now wrecking in turn number 1, and that seems to bring out a caution. And we'll see exactly who all was involved. But yeah, the 7 of Rich Gang Evo 1000. Looks like he got booted straight to the inside wall as he appears to be disproportionately stuck on that banking. I believe the caps got involved. And potentially the 99 again. But Matt, that's the 3rd caution now. It's crazy start to stage number 3. If these caution flags keep happening, you might not see that strategy you practice all week for play in, and it might just come down to who can outrace who.
Yeah, that is true. And so if that happens, we might end up seeing even more cautions as a result, as people are wanting to sit back and let the strategy play out there. And they might think, we might not even have to pit to get up front as fast as possible. So we will definitely see. If this restarts clean and these guys get a green flag run, I think we'll see strategy play out. But any more cautions, they might be cutting it close.
And you're absolutely right. And there's 31 laps in stage number 3. And, of course, you skip a couple after a caution, so I imagine this is lap number 3. So you'll still have to pit at least once. But it's going to be a matter who can get on the cleanest, I think, and who's going to take 2 tires. How much fuel do you need? I believe if whoever can stay out the longest, conserve enough fuel, the difference between taking 1 can versus 1.5 cans could be the difference as well.
Oh, well, yeah, because the less time you spend on pit road, the better. And so if you're able to save just enough to stretch it to where you only have to take half a can, that's like a 3 or 4 second advantage on pit road. So lots of things that play into the strategy and decisions to be made. So we'll definitely see how it gets played.
Right, and a lot of shuffling going on in the back half of the field as Citrus on Twitch continues to lead. Jay Harris in the 2nd spot. Positions haven't changed a whole lot in the early parts of stage number 3 amongst the leaders. As we hear a car get into the wall. I believe that was COVID now falling back to the back. 14 laps to go. So just like that, just with a caution, 14 laps remaining. Matt, it's going to be close on fuel if there's not another caution with 14 remaining. I mean, you already ran a couple, and you had those caution laps.
Oh, so that's the official amount remaining is 14? Yeah, that's going to be real close. It depends. I mean, if these guys stayed out and didn't pit, looks like we have another caution. Yeah, looks like strategy might be thrown out the window here.
Yeah.
Just be running to the finish.
At this point, possibly the 7 car again involved, as he is way back behind everybody. Might have been involved again. But right now, Jay Harris in the 2nd spot. And Frostfang in the 90 in position number 3. Both teammates, you have to think they're in the best position at this point to possibly get around that 9 when push comes to shove. Obviously, you want to work with your teammates. It gets a little spread out. You have a Hendrick car sitting in 4th. Don't Want None, and then followed by 2 JGR guys. So as of right now, positions 3 and 4, positions 2 and 3. I think that's where you want to be linked up with your teammates, a chance to win this race.
Teammates are at this point are going to be crucial. You want to have people that you know, like you can trust 100%. That you know, hey, if I make a move, they're going to go with me. Oh, it looks like we got a little.
Yeah, the 90 looked like he missed a gear, and 2 cars in the back. We'll see if the caution will fly here. And it looks like we'll stay green for the time being. So if this stays green the rest of the way, looks like JMW COVID-20 and Caps could be out of this race if it stays green. So from what I saw on my screen, it looks like the 90 car missed a gear and held up the inside line, and things got shuffled up. And Sporty Morty, starting to see him make some moves, trying to get some help. He is behind his RCI teammate. He tries to block. He throws a hard block there and gets a little squirrely, and looks like he pushes that 89 car Blue Sky back a few, and a huge crash going out of the tri-oval. Multiple cars involved. The 5, King Shadow. The 18, Y'all Ain't Ready Racing. Again, the big one has occurred. We saw it in stage 1, but again, we see it in stage number 3. It's kind of been a caution fest so far, Matt. I mean, is this going to be something that's more on the drivers, or is this just Daytona?
I'm still getting reports of lag, so I'm not sure if it's just like a lobby as a whole. I do know how the servers struggle sometimes with these bigger events, but at the same time, though, it could just be Daytona. I mean, all it takes is one person getting on a line and maybe almost in a move of desperation trying to get back in line, but somebody's got their nose in there. Could be somebody getting on the apron, getting forced below the apron. There's so many things that can happen, and at the speed you guys are going, as close as they are together, I mean, all it takes is one little hiccup, and you've got a huge look behind you.
Right, and based off of our live chat, it appears it was just racing. It didn't appear to be any lag spike this time around. Just guys running out of patience. As though there's only, the laps are counting down very quickly. So we're going to see guys be more and more aggressive as they come into turn number 1. 6 laps to go. Citrus on Twitch trying to stay in the lead. And more cars involved. Another crash. The 90 is involved. The 99, the 18. And another caution. So we went from 6 laps to go. So probably bring us down to 4. I mean, Matt, at this point, it's starting to look like a public lobby.
Unfortunately, yeah. But like I said, I'm not sure if that's driver error, if that's server error. We definitely want to see some cleaner racing, but unfortunately, it seems that we've had more cautions than we initially hoped for.
And patience is obviously a virtue, and right now seems to be a lack thereof. Each restart has been chaotic going into turn number 1. I mean, with so many laps to go, you're sitting 10th and back. You're going to try to do whatever you can to get to the front. Your patience is basically out the window. So that's just like in real life. I mean, when the laps you start seeing them tick under 10, you're going to do whatever you can to get to the front. So Citrus on Twitch remains in the lead. Second place is Don't Want None in the 1 car, followed by Jay Harris and the 36. 4th position is the 21 of Nimco Wood. And Sporty Morty again with RCR driving that lime green number 10. No help on the outside, all single file. And it looks like Don't Want None's going to get left up to dry as he's getting shoved up the track. Going through the gears, getting up to speed. Citrus on Twitch, remaining in position number 1. But Jay Harris, just knowing how these guys like to race, patience is going to be running out for the position number 2. And I expect a lot of tempers to flare these last remaining laps.
Oh, for sure. It looks like Sporty Money stepped out to try to see if anybody would go with him, and he is going to get shuffled back. So we're going to go back to single foul, the 19 up into the wall. And it looks like he's going to fall off the pace. I don't think he might have been over the line there.
And that's a tough risk. Sometimes it's worth taking, but unfortunately, that's sometimes just the luck of the draw if you can't find anyone to go with you. And a big crash again. Sporty Morty involved. The 18, the 99, 6. Multiple cars involved. Another big one. You hate to see it. The 10, the 99, the 6, the 90, the 18. The 8 car. All involved.
Yeah, from my view, I couldn't really tell what initially caused that, but it looks like a car, or which car did she cause that, but it looks like the car did get below the apron. The car shot straight sideways and got right behind them. 6, 7 cars involved. And now, even if you pit, tires aren't going to matter as much as other tracks, even on times 3 wear. But if we keep getting these green-white checkers, you're going to start running out of fuel eventually. That is true. So it just comes down to whether or not you decide to take that risk to play it safe, or if you just play the field position there.
And we're going to have a green-white checkered right here, Matt. So 2 to go.
Can they make it back across the start-finish line and finalize this thing, or are we going to look at multiple overtimes?
And Citrus on Twitch takes the field across the finish line, green-white checkered. Everything on the line for race number 1 of Season 2 in the White Knuckle Racing League. Side by side, they go into turn number 1. You're going to start seeing some more 2x2 going into turn number 1. Here they come. 36 trying to get a push from the 5. Cars got to hold their line. The 98 gets shuffled, not going to be able to get the push to the 5 as the inside line is going to take advantage. So you have the 9, the 21, and the 1 car, 1, 2, and 3. Coming down the backstretch, 3-4 wide racing, trying to fight for position. And we'll see what happens going into turn number 3 now. Citrus on Twitch continues to lead.
He's made his way up to the 5th position. And he moves the 36 to Jay Harris out of the way.
Oh, and they keep touching, and Jay Harris able to fight his way back. And that's going to hurt Caps. His chances of winning, and can they hold it? Coming out of triangle.
All over the place. Are they going to cross the line?
Citrus on Twitch takes the white flag, and there's a crash. Will that end the race? Coming into turn number 1, and that's going to do it. Yellow flag is out, which means the race is over. They cross the line just in time. Citrus on Twitch takes the victory here at the Coca-Cola 250 at Daytona. A wreck-filled race, especially in stage number 3, but a big win for Junior Motorsports and that Hendrick stable, Matt.
Definitely a huge win, but not the way you want to see it done, just with so many cautions. So hopefully the Cup race tomorrow will be a little bit cleaner. We can see some more green flag racing. That's one thing we don't want to see, is a race be so short from the cautions, but definitely exciting finish nonetheless.
And you're absolutely right. And as soon as we get the results, Matt, I would like for you to bring in the top 3 into our party, one at a time, and we'll talk to the drivers and see what their experience was like. As soon as we get the officials' results, first place was Citrus on Twitch. And take a look right here. Yeah, the top 3. Citrus on Twitch takes position number 1 for his first win of the year and his first race ever in this league. Jay Harris, 347, takes the 2nd spot. Don't Want None rounds out the top 3. Frostfang finishing 4th. Nimco Wood finishing 5th. Y'all Ain't Ready Racing, Masopes in the 7th spot. Rich Gang in 8th. Blue Sky in 9th. And Sporty Morty rounding out the top 10 for RCR.
That might not be the official results there, because I do believe that does include the points from qualifying.
I'm glad you caught that, as I feel a little silly. Technical difficulties in my brain. But we'll see if we can get the official results here in a second. Well, we do know who finished first. That's the important thing, as we did get that right. So, just looking off the live chat, it's kind of a house divided on whether or not it was a good race or not. Some guys not happy with the showing, thinking there's a lot of impatience, a lot of wrecks involved. But that's going to happen. It's Daytona. We didn't know what to expect. I kind of brought it up in the pre-race show, Matt, because the talent top to bottom is so tight and so competitive that people might run out of patience because if they know if they can't get track position, it's going to be harder and harder to pass because these guys are talented as heck and not willing to give up their position, especially at a track like Daytona. You get shuffled up, you're going to lose a lot of spots.
Yeah, I do think desperation was a factor there. I mean, people saw the last winding down, and if they weren't where they wanted to be on the track, I mean, they were probably being a little bit more aggressive than they would initially be, just due to the fact that they were running out of time, and it wasn't really easy to gain positions on track with the draft and stepping on the line. We didn't see the outside line get used hardly at all this race, and yeah, I think people just got a little desperate. I know and if somebody sees somebody give up like half a groove on the bottom and somebody tries to stick their nose down there and take it, a lot of times that guy that is getting moved will try and force the way back down. And figure out how to clean this up from here on out.
You definitely hope so. As we go to look towards Atlanta next week in Xfinity, we'll see how everything plays out. As we welcome in our race winner, Citrus on Twitch. First and foremost, man, congrats, hard fought victory. You were up there in the top 5 all race long. Didn't get the victories in stage 1 or 2, but you put yourself in a position to win when it mattered most. You led, and you knew. I would imagine Citrus, you kind of had an idea that there might be a few wrecks, so getting to the front might have been vital. But take us through the race. What were your thoughts?
I mean, the race overall, like through the beginning, the middle, was all right. Not too many cautions, but then once it got to the end, it was just horrible. But my main goal from the start was just to get to the front and stay there. And I somehow did that. I moved a couple guys up out of the lane. They didn't stay at the bottom and just followed suit from there. And then when the cautions came out, got in first, stayed there, held the bottom, didn't let anybody by me.
Right, and Citrus, did your strategy shift at all throughout the race? I'm sure you all week you practice with your guys. We're going to pit on this lap. We're going to think about this. How long can our tires last? Obviously, with some cautions getting thrown in there, did you have to improvise a little bit, or did you pretty much decide I'm just going to race as much hard as I can because I know it's going to come down to that? Because you can't really rely on the back half of the field from wrecking. So did your strategy shift a little bit?
Well, our original plan entering stage 3 was to pit deep for fuel only, and then the caution came out. We ended up being 1 short or 2 laps short, and then another caution came out, and then right there everybody knew, okay, we're not pitting for the rest of this race. Let's try to get the win.
Right.
And that's kind of how it went.
Right, and then I know, because obviously we can't tell what the connections were in stage number 1, but did you hear of any lag issues in stage number 1 and 2?
I know in stage 1, Ski Mask Leezy was he lagged back a little bit, lagged a little bit and caused me to go out towards the grass. Thank God a caution came out, or else I would have been in it. I would have been out of it in stage 1.
All right, and you got your captain in the studio here right now. I'm sure Matt, when you win that that race number 1. So going into Atlanta next week now. I mean, now we're going to shift back to full-on strategy. It's going to be cleaner racing. But are you excited for race number 2?
Yeah, I'm 100% excited for race 2, which gets to show the guy who gets to represent the guys who got real skill in the league and can compete on a consistent basis.
All right, Citrus. Well, we appreciate your time and congrats again on the win. And we'll see you next week.
All right, see you.
And then Matt, if you can go ahead and invite our second position of Nimco Wood, we'll get him in here and we'll interview him. And then position number 3, the top 3, Don't Want None 3. Pretty fitting, he finishing in the 3rd spot. So pretty chaotic top to bottom as we talked to Citrus right there. Obviously, it sounded like strategy went out the window as far as the pit strategy, which is so vital in this game. But obviously, Daytona is such a wild card, through and through. And Citrus was able to stay out front, stay out of trouble. And obviously, that could be the strategy. The truck race was completely different than tonight. Xfinity was pretty much chaotic all the way through. We'll see if we're going to see the same results there tomorrow night in Cup. And if you guys bear with me 1 second. All right. And Matt, do you think going into the Cup race tomorrow we're going to see something similar take place? Do you think it'll be cleaner racing?
Come up with so that we have cleaner racing and we can put on a better show tomorrow. I think a little bit more patience will be shown because I think with a lot of these guys in Xfinity, I mean they, they're not truck guys, they're not cup guys. They need to prove themselves, and I think that and just the desperation came in with the amount of cars that came out in stage 3. I mean, pit strategies thrown out the window, and all of a sudden, hey, it's all about track position. I've got to get every position I can get, and people making maybe some ill-received blocks, or sticking their nose in a place that they knew was going to cause trouble. But at that point, it was checkers or wreckers. So
right. Well, we welcome in Nimco Wood into the studio, finishing position number 2. Nimco, first and foremost, great race as far as getting back up to the front. You kind of hung around the top 10 throughout the entire race, but that stage 3 was pretty chaotic to say the least, at least from our perspective. Take us through that last stage and how you were able to get in position number 2.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy for sure. There was a lot of battling going on for position. We had a couple cautions, and off the restart, everybody on the top lines trying to get down to the bottom line. So there's door banging everywhere. I literally I got lucky on a couple cautions where people were pitting in front of me, so I kept moving up spot by spot, and then going into that last caution, I was in third on the bottom line right below Citrus, and I wasn't even going to try to make a move on him, most likely, depending on how antsy. I think the one car was behind me, the one in the 36. If one of them looked like they were going to jump, I might have done it, but other than that, I was just going to take second place and push Citrus to the wing just to I'll take a second place there at Daytona on a super speedway, especially after all the craziness.
That's a good point. I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of finishing as best as you can. We saw a lot of cautions. I mean, we kind of talked to Citrus about some of the strategy that came involved. I mean, obviously with the cautions happening in stage 3, that pretty much threw your strategy out the window. So what was it like, not just with yourself, but with the entire team of RCR? Like, what did you guys talk about as the cautions came out? Like, how did the strategy kind of improvise?
We talked a lot, and it was mostly based off track position. I was near the front, so I wasn't going to pit. I was going to save the track position. Wally was moving tonight, and we had a little miscommunication. So Wally, our 4th teammate, wasn't with us tonight. But Dallas and not Citrus.
Sporty Morty.
Sporty. Man, yeah, I'm confusing names. Dallas and Sporty were a little further back, so they opted to go ahead and take the tires and stuff like that. But we had the track position, and then I could see, we were just slowly getting closer to the point where we weren't going to need to pit at all. So, once we crossed that line, I was going to pit.
All right, well, Nimco, again, congrats on the second place spot. Sounds like you just had to do what you had to do to get that top 3 finish, and that's exactly what you did. So best of luck to you next week at Atlanta, and we look forward to seeing you race throughout the season, but a great start to season number 2 for you.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. All right, that was Nimco Wood, finishing position number 2. We're going to get our 3rd place finisher of Don't Want None here into the party, and then we'll wrap up this broadcast from Daytona. And Matt, I mean, we talked to a couple of drivers now. I mean, it was pretty much similar. I mean, the guys were seeing the same things, came down to track position.
Yeah, at the end, I mean, that's really all they could do was focus on getting spots. Once they realized that pit strategy out of the window, it wasn't about saving, it wasn't about conserving, it wasn't about putting yourself in a good spot. It was about getting in the front, in any way that you could. I do have the top 10 is in the official top 10. We have in first place It's on Twitch, second place Nimco Wood, third place Don't Want None, fourth Jay Harris, fifth Kush Miller, sixth Frostfangs, seventh Rich Gang Evo, ninth L77 Caps, ninth Masopes, and 10th Dallas Stars.
All right, and that's your top 10. So some guys who weren't necessarily in the top 5 in the first couple stages able to pull out some good finishes. You mentioned Dallas Stars getting a top 10. A veteran, a guy came in from last year, raced Xfinity, came back to Xfinity. So good to see him back in the top 10 to start off the season with some points. But a few guys, obviously Citrus on Twitch, he was clearly one of the cars to be, along with Jay Harris, who won stage number 1. Just unable to get past a couple guys there in the last stage, as we were just waiting for Don't Want None to pop into the party. And another veteran, Cush Miller, getting a top 5, crucial start off the season. You want to start off strong, so that way you can almost be more conservative as the season goes on. I mean, you know it better than most, Matt, the guy who made the playoffs last year. Having that points lead going into the playoffs and being consistent all year long, are you able to be more conservative at certain tracks if knowing you have a cushion in the lead, or in the points, I should say?
Having the points lead, none of that really carries over to the playoffs, and so that definitely hurt. Going from points lead to eliminated in round one, and I definitely plan on improving on that this year. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the regular season itself, you're definitely able to almost kind of sit back a little bit. I mean, you still want to be competitive, you still want to race for wins, but at the same time, you don't have to stress yourself out over having to get a win late in the season to make the playoffs. Or if you get a points cushion, I mean, and that in itself could get you in. So just being consistent, showing up each week and doing what you can to put together a string of good finishes can result in tickets to playoffs.
All right, well, right on, Matt. So, I mean, as we saw in the entire race, top to bottom, it was crazy. Every single stage, we had 2 green-white checkers. They're in stage number 1 and stage number 3 that decided crucial amount of points. But Matt, any final thoughts or takeaways before we head out?
Well, I just got confirmation that Don't Want None logged off, so I don't think he's going to be jumping to the party with us. But I mean, like I said, it's first race of the season. Guys are excited. I'm sure, like I said, captains are going to get with each other. They're going to get with the guys. And we'll get it cleaned up. Like I said, this league is, some of the best of the best, and I've got full confidence in the fact that I think we're gonna clean it up. Looking towards the Cup race, though, I fully expect us to have longer green flag runs. I know with the race being twice as long in the Cup Series, we're going to have, I think strategies going to play out in all 3 stages. It's not just going to be, in stage 3. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Can't make mistakes. Got to make sure keep your head on your shoulders, work well with whoever's around you, and just make sure you're in position to win at the end is really all I can ask for.
And of course, you and me will be competitors tomorrow night, so I guess I'll be the first one and wish you good luck. And I can't wait to see you in my rear view.
Yeah, I'll try not to move you out the way too much.
All right, so that's going to conclude this broadcast. Be sure to follow White Knuckle Racing on Twitter, Instagram at White Knuckle Racing, RCN, and Racing. Also, whiteknuckleracing.net is our website. And check out the Cup race tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be broadcasted on the James McComb channel on YouTube. So be sure to check that out. And after this week, we head to Atlanta starting next week on Tuesday in the trucks, Wednesday in the Xfinity and Cup on Thursdays, all at 9 p.m. And we're also starting week number 1 in the Dirt Series. That'll be fun. I'll be broadcasting that one as well. Definitely can't wait. So from Matt Montgomery, I'm Tim Wells, a.k.a. TurtleWells73, saying see you next time. And let's go White Knuckle Racing.